I finally understand that my father is just a man, just like I am a man. He's not only just a man, but he's a human. And humans have feelings. And humans act out of survival for themselves, out of however they see the world as is, however they see danger as is, and they try to run away from that danger. Of course they would, because that's survival. They don't want to hurt themselves. They don't want to hurt themselves. So, so avoiding heartbreaks and avoiding all those hardships is just basic instinct that you just want to survive and you want the best for yourself. It's instinctively inside you. I finally understand that my father is a human being. I finally understand that my father is a human being with emotions, just like how I am. One time ago, when I was around 6 years, 8 years, 9 years, I don't believe I remember my age, but I was super young. It was great times. When my mother and my father were used to date, they used to date, and they used to live together, and I used to live with them. A time that we always laughed, we always joked around, have happy moments. Time when I'd always tell my mother about how I like this girl, how I like that girl. And I used to tell my father the same too. Not that much as my mother, but here and there. But it was great times until one moment came when my father came around at night time, drunk, and of course, as I was, I didn't understand what the heck was going on. I mean, who is this guy? Oh, this is my father. What? He's drunk. Okay, this is not the first time I see him drunk, but he's always cool when he's drunk. He's always like, "Oh, my son, I love you, I love you, I love you." But this time is way different, dog. Dog is coming with aggression. Okay, I'm called. I'm called to come around the dining room where my cousins are at. We all sit, but this time we're not sitting with smiles on our faces. We're sitting together with faces that have worry in them, and our ears hear shouting, screams, screams of anger, screams of fear, and of course, me as a young child, I don't know. I think this is something that we're born with, specifically for each other. But for me myself, I was born like I couldn't just and sit in fear when someone I love is probably in danger. I needed to go there and check if they are or not. I just was born with that, and like I feel like that moment was the first moment where that thing ever happened for me, where I couldn't just sit in fear. Like I did fear so many things that could happen, or it could happen to me. But I immediately got up, ran to that room, and when I ran to that room, I come inside. I find my father pinning down my mother, strangling her. She's down to the bed. My father's on top of her with strangling her. First thought of in my mind is I need to stop this because I do not like what I see. I jump on his back. I tried by all means to stop him, strangle him, bite him. As young as I am, that proves to be no damage, of course. I'm young. I'm like 6, 7, 8. I'm young. But my father, of course, is like, I don't know what went through his head, but the only thing I know while I'm biting this man, I feel a hand, bam, right here on my neck. And as soon as I know I'm on the bed now, I'm thrown to the bed and I'm also being strangled. After 5 seconds, it stops. It's like he realized that nah, this ain't it. And once he stops, my uncles, my grandpa, they come in and they grab him, put him outside, beat him, shout at him, reprimand him. And how did that affect me? As a 6-year-old boy, it did affect me because I had trauma. And in result, I did the same actions my father did that day to other people, which is saying I became violent to a lot of people, girls, boys, you name it. I would fight over the littlest thing ever. I had a lot of anger, and I had trauma. Like whenever anybody tried to touch me here, I always flinch. It was like my body was engraved with that memory. It was engraved with fear for that memory. It never wanted that thing to have ever happen again. So whenever there's a touch, a simple touch, or whether I see that this hand is going to my neck area, I reflect. There's a reflex. That's how deep my trauma was. It even showed in action. And in my mind, as a child, I didn't realize that this is because of that moment. I just thought that these people piss me off. If you piss me off, I'll beat you up. That's the simple-minded thought that I had was if you piss me off, I'll beat you up. And I did that. And in my township, a lot of my friends feared me. A lot. And at the same time, I felt sad that they feared me instead of, I didn't want to be feared. I wanted to have friends and enjoy times. I didn't want to be feared. But it's just that that anger was so deep in me. And the trauma was so deep in me that I always felt like I needed to protect myself. That it's gonna happen again. It's gonna happen again. That moment's gonna happen again. But I couldn't realize that as a child. I couldn't realize that. How could I realize that I'm just 6 years old? I'm just 7 years old. I'm just 8 years old. I'm just a child. I'm just a child. High school, grade 9, the anger stopped. It stopped. But why? Somehow, I got the comprehension, the understanding to finally say, you know what? I want to reflect. And I did reflect on my life. I reflected and saw and finally saw the things that I did. I finally saw that I was actually a bully to a lot of people. I used to even fight my own sister, fight my own brother. Like even my parents were just this close and I would have done it as a 6 years old, 7 year old, all the way primary until high school, grade 9. I reflected and it brought me a lot of pain. I cried. I cried. I felt pity for myself, and I felt pity for the other people, and I felt so deeply sorry for the things that I've done, for the ones that I made cry, for the ones that I instilled fear in, and I felt pity for myself the most because I was just a child, and what I was doing out of fear because I didn't want a certain thing to happen again to me. I understand, but at the time I didn't really understand that it was out of fear. I felt so sorry for the things that I did. I reflected and finally it was just the moment that I finally saw that yo, I was actually a bully. Because back then I was just telling myself that if you piss me off, I'll beat you up. So it went from piss me off, I'll beat you up to I finally see that all the violence was senseless. There was no need for the violence. Not at all, man. That's my fucking life, dog. So grade 9. Grade 9. I reflect so deep that I cried for so many days. Like every night. I cried for a lot of times. It was the time when it was COVID, so I had a lot of time to just push, going deep in myself. Because I'm that kind of person that I like watching, like I like topics of self. I like watching content and listening to topics that relate to knowing yourself, being about yourself, knowing more about yourself. When people say you are people are just different versions of yourself, I like hearing that shit, man. I like hearing that we're all one. I like hearing that we're all part of God. I like that shit, dog. It hits me. It hits me. I enjoy it. So of course, even grade 9, I like that shit from way before. So grade 9 having that comprehension, and then of course I came into the topic of reflect. And I'm like, yeah, man, you know what? I've not reflected. And I did. And I fell into depression. I fell in deep depression. And because I finally, after feeling pity for myself, I also saw me as wrong. Like you were wrong for doing that thing. Even if, or I didn't know that I did it out of fear. But I did know that me being so violent came from that moment my father was abusive for the first time and the last time. I knew that. So I immediately classified myself as you're wrong. You were wrong for what you did. You should be ashamed for what you did. You know what? Never be loud. You know what? Never be confident. You know what? Never be yourself. Never, 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 never. I changed myself. I changed myself. I was completely different from primary. Because primary I was so out. Even though as a child I did believe some other things when people were like, yeah, you're too loud. So I'm like, oh man, so being loud is wrong now. So I changed myself. But it was way worse in grade 9. Because when I started shaming myself, I turned into this shy, timid, scared to talk to people, scared to look at people, scared to be judged from people. Like I was so closed now, in a shell. I was totally different. Like even doing this, I would never do it in that time because I would have told myself, "You don't deserve that. You're wrong. You don't deserve that." And now I started speaking low. I couldn't speak out loud. I was scared of speaking out loud because I would shame myself. I was mostly scared of myself. not even the judgments and what. Nah, I was scared of the person that I became that time. Like I straight shamed myself, changed myself, locked me up because of the things when I reflected on the actions that I did. I saw myself as wrong for always bullying other people. But now I realize that it wasn't really bullying. It was just me acting out of fear, being scared of certain things happening, of that trauma happening again. And I understand I was a child and I feel for that child. I understand that child and I love that child. I can never shame that child. If I was in the same shoes again, I'd do it again. I'd beat those people again. Not to say that I'm violent, but I don't want to shame myself anymore for the things that I did. I did what I did because out of love for myself. That's how I wanted to survive. That's how I saw danger and I wanted to keep myself safe. So I won't shame myself for doing that shit. I won't. So now I fall into depression because I did I cried so many times that it became a habit. It became something that I was so comfortable in. My comfort zone. Sadness became my comfort zone. That was all I knew. And it was something I was so comfortable in. I almost enjoyed it. Like I almost enjoyed it because I even like music I had was sad. Things that I watched was sad just to bring me back to that and and put me back to the things that I did and then shame me again. And I shame me again, I cry again. I was comfortable. And I was like, oh, it kind of felt good. But not in a good way that is happy. Good that is, it's safe. It's safe. Because I know what's going to happen. I can predict this. That's why. That's why it felt good. Fuck, I'm so smart now. Like I would have never comprehended so much. But now I know so much. And I'm gonna know a lot of more. Who knows when I'm 30? Maybe I will understand way more. Even at the current situation that I'm in now. Maybe I'll understand way more. But I fell into depression, man. Deep, deep depression. Come to grade 12. Grade 10. Yeah, grade 10. High school helped me a lot, dog. It helped me a lot. Meeting a lot of people helped me a lot. Like, to actually come out of that shell and actually see that, yo, maybe I'm not so bad. Maybe I'm a cool nigga. You know? Now I can see that I'm a fucking cool nigga. And I can see that for myself. I don't need people to see that for me. I can actually see for myself. Yeah, this nigga's cool. Man. But a lot of people helped me. My friends helped me. And the girl that I dated, my first like girl that I had sex with, helped me a lot. And I'm sure she doesn't even know, but she helped me a lot, man. A lot. Because I had this habit, right? This habit started from primary. I used to walk watching, facing down. Like I wouldn't face up, I would face it down. And in high school, it was way worse. But in primary, it was because like I had such a high imagination in my mind that when I was facing down, I was actually zoned out. Like I was in a whole other world, thinking of a whole other story, that I'm a whole other person or doing something else that I enjoy. Like I enjoyed doing that. But at the same time, I can see the road. I can see where I'm going. In high school, I was only doing that because it was like I was wishing I was not myself. I was I was wishing that I was cool. I was wishing that I was liked in my head because I make these stories where I'm liked, where I'm the shit, where people always flock at me, where people always like me. When I say something funny, they laugh because I'm validated now. That's why I did it before. And it was all because of the shaming and shit. Now I wish I wasn't me in grade 9. But in grade 10, I had this friend, man. His name is Deboho. Deboho helped me, dog. And he doesn't even know. Just by saying the most simplest thing, dog. He once saw me walking, facing down. And then he came up to me. I was like, dog, what you doing? I'm like, yo, man, what do you mean? What you doing, dog? Why do you always walk facing down? I'm like, nah, dog. I'm just used to it, you know. Yeah, I'm just thinking. He's like, nah, dog, quit that shit, man. Quit that shit. Because you never know. You can't even see the road, first of all. And you never know, you can even get hurt. And once you get hurt, people that care about you, they'll feel sorry, man. You hurt them. And he says, us that care about you. Well, he didn't even say it exactly like that, but I don't remember. But he said something along those lines. Us that care about you will feel hurt. You'll feel hurt when you're in an accident, when you're hurt. And just because he didn't see in front of you. And that shit actually hit me. It hit me. Most because he cared. That's what hit me. I was like, wow, feels good to be cared about, man. Feels good. And then I started not to look down and actually look up. Because I always had that in my mind that somebody cares about me, man. And that was a solid ass friend, man. Sad to have to not sad that this day I don't have his contents. His contact. I can't even talk to him, but it's cool, man. One day we'll meet. When we have cash and shit, we'll meet. But man, he helped me. But he's not the only one. Like my man, I had great people. I had great friends. Like all my friends helped me without them knowing. Because I was accepted. I was accepted. And that helped me. That helped me. Because I always looked at myself as an oddball. I always looked at myself as an imposer. But with these guys, whenever I say something that I know is funny, they laugh. When I say something like this, they enjoy it. When I speak about this, they enjoy it. When I play this game, they enjoy it. Like, and